Do you have a difficult team member? Maybe it's a member of your family, your friends, that no matter what, you are just struggling to communicate with, or that you ask them to do something and they just don't do it. Well, I'm here to tell you that humans and human behavior is very predictable. Now we know that we can do something about it. More often than not, it's because the reason you're not getting that right response reaction, it is because they are an opposite style. Now, what does this mean? Everyone's got a different style. We all agree on what the goal is in business, in life. Here is the goal, but it's how we get to that goal that causes the friction, that causes the conflict, the lost productivity, stress in the workplace. But if we know that, we can then adjust our behavior to get the best possible response. Now, I use behavioral profiling. There are many profiles out there on the market. My preference at the moment is for DISC. I've used Total SDI, Myers-Briggs, HBDI, Belbin's. I've used a lot, but what I find with DISC is observable behavior. Like I said, if we know it's predictable, then we can actually respond in the right way to get the best possible result. So I had a conversation with a client last week, and they had trouble with a couple of their direct reports. And it was around, it's around the workplace behavior. So turning up late, poor attention to detail, not following up customers, prone to the old tantrum, and just constantly chasing them up all the time, which was causing this manager a lot of stress in the workplace, just trying to manage these people. They were excellent at what they do. They got great feedback from their customers, but it was just the follow-ups, the attention to detail, and the tantrums. Now, in this situation, I used a DISC profile, and what was interesting is as soon as I gave them that report, it was like a light bulb went off in their mind, and they were like, wow, this is me. And it's not about putting you in a box. It's to say, look, more often than not, if you communicate to me in this way, and you put me in these situations, you're going to get the best from me. Now, what did that do for the manager? The manager then had a common language and was then free to give feedback to that employee, because now it was observable above the line and the feedback wasn't personal. And with that employee, they actually took it on board and said, oh, that is me. Now, that just cut the stress out of the whole situation and defused and de-escalated that sort of relationship. So now that relationship is a lot smoother. Yes, there are still times where it goes up and down, but for me as a coach, I always profile all of my coaching clients. But what that gives me, it gives me a tool, and it gives me an action plan in which I can work with them to overcome some of their, whether were limitations or weaknesses. Now, with those weaknesses, it's around borrowing style. So if you know for a fact you know good at attention to detail, you can put some steps in place for you to be more effective in the workplace. If you know, for example, you are afraid of giving feedback or having difficult conversations, you can then borrow some of the behaviors in which you can then be successful. Practice and rehearse, and then deliver that feedback that you need to. So whatever profile that you use is completely up to you, but I just find it gives you a really common language for you to be able to confront issues so they don't escalate out of control. And it gives each person, the individual and the manager, a bit of a common ground and a common understanding for them to be able just to increase their communication and get better results from that.